an interview involving Judge Juan Merchan, his attorney, Todd Blanche, and a virtual meeting from Mar-a-Lago. And so, meanwhile, a unanimous jury and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, they're going to be watching this very, very closely, guys. And over in the Hunter Biden gun trial, prosecutors led by Leo Wise and defense attorney Abbe Lowell, they're presenting their final arguments to a jury as Hunter Biden faces 25 years in prison. Holly Biden, as well as Zoe Costin, they added some very unexpected twists that we're going to get into later in this video. Now, the real question is, could this trial change everything for his dad, Joe Biden? Also, Donald Trump demands that Joe Biden remove a very controversial ad accusing Donald Trump of mocking dead soldiers. And amidst record heat, Donald Trump's fans are collapsing left and right in Las Vegas. Now, guys, before we really get into this thing, all I ask is that you take a second, hit the like button for the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you guys are able to see and hear me okay, please just let me know, hit the like button or say it, make a comment. All right, what's going on? John Ruglio, Alice Lewis, beautifully inappropriate. Mind your business. Christopher Rose, awesome. We got some folks coming in here. So, former President Donald Trump will have a pre-sentencing interview with New York Probation Office confirmed by a Donald Trump source. And this interview is supposed to be conducted virtually today. I'm not sure if this interview has transpired already, but it was scheduled for today. Donald Trump, who is the first former president in American history to be convicted in a criminal trial, will be facing yet another unique experience. An interview with a probational officer. Yeah. A lot of people are trying to find jobs today and they have interviews, but Donald Trump, he's not looking for a job, but yet he has an interview with a probational officer. Yeah, go figure. Anyway, typically for those who are convicted of crimes in Manhattan, those interviews, they're usually held in person at the same building where Donald Trump's trial took place. I think it's like 100 Center Street or something like that in Manhattan. And typically individuals are not always accompanied by their lawyers. However, obviously, Donald Trump's case is a little bit less than ordinary, or more than ordinary, I should say. And Judge Juan Merchan, who presided over Donald Trump's case, he issued an order on Friday allowing Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, to attend this interview. Now, this interview, and I'm really surprised that Judge Juan Merchan did that, because usually he's like, no to everything. Anything that Donald Trump requests, anything that Donald Trump's attorneys request, usually is no, right? Anyway, so the interview will be conducted remotely via video. Donald Trump will be participating in this interview from his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida, South Florida, while his probational officer will be in an office at Manhattan Criminal Court. Now, the probation officer will be compiling a report that includes details about Donald Trump's crimes. I know some of you guys are like, he didn't even have a crime. He didn't do anything, but they found him guilty on 34 counts anyway, right? His personal history, his criminal record. I mean, what do y'all think about this? Should Donald Trump even be having this interview with a probation officer? I mean, some folks think that this is just completely absurd. And it's just a political witch hunt. But May 30th, a unanimous jury found Donald Trump guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. And this caused a lot of folks in New York City to immediately hit the streets and start protesting. These charges were ultimately connected to a scheme to cover up reimbursement payments for hush money that was allegedly paid to an adult film star in 2016 by the name of Stormy Daniels, ultimately trying to prevent voters from hearing her story that particular year. Now, obviously, Donald Trump continues to deny the allegations and has ultimately vowed to appeal this conviction. Judge Juan Merchan, though, has significant discretion in the sentencing, and this is where a lot of folks are fed up. Judge Juan Merchan, according to, a lot of folks who support Donald Trump, say he should never, ever, number one, he should never have even been presiding over this case. Number two, they're giving him way too much power for him to be just a local judge. So let me know what you guys think about that. Should Juan Merchan have so much power that they can lock up a presidential candidate and a former president? I mean, anyway, so get this, guys. He can impose a prison term of up to 4 years for each count but also has the option to impose a non-incarceration sentence, kind of like probation or maybe even house arrest. But even if he has probation or house arrest, this would certainly be interfering with the presidential elections, right? I mean, I think it would. So the probation officer's report typically includes a sentencing recommendation along with information from Donald Trump and his attorney to persuade the judge towards some leniency. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has not yet indicated whether or not his office is going to seek jail time in their own filing to the court. So we'll have to stand by and see what happens with that. Of course, I will be keeping you guys updated. Make sure you guys are locked in. Make sure you have your notification bell clicked so you don't miss out on that update as soon as it comes out. But in the gun trial against Hunter Biden, both the prosecution and the defense gave their closing arguments to the jurors today. So definitely a big day for Donald Trump and for Hunter Biden. The defense for Hunter Biden concluded that they concluded their case today, earlier this afternoon, without calling Hunter Biden to testify. Hunter Biden, though, he is facing some serious charges related to a 2018 gun purchase. When he bought the revolver, he allegedly lied on a federal form, claiming that he was not using and was not addicted to any illegal drugs. Now, if I remember correctly, wasn't it like some cocaine found in the White House or something like that a couple years ago? I want to say that was right around the time when he applied for that gun license. But listen to the latest update here, guys.
Defense attorneys for Hunter Biden resting their case today without calling Hunter Biden himself to the stand to testify. He faces 3 felony gun charges after prosecutors say he illegally purchased a Colt revolver in October of 2018 while he was allegedly addicted to drugs, accusing him of lying about his addiction on a federal form. During the trial, jurors hearing testimony from several women in his life, including his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend, the owner and employees of the gun shop where he bought his firearm, and a number of expert witnesses. His 30-year-old daughter, Naomi, telling jurors her father seemed great at that time in 2018, but moments later, the jury also hearing about text messages she sent him while he was in possession of that firearm, seemingly expressing concern about his addiction. Defense lawyer Abbe Lowell arguing Hunter Biden was using alcohol at that time, but not drugs, and that the form was confusing. They say he had just gotten out of a 12-day rehab program before purchasing the gun. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, along with Hunter's sister Ashley, also in court again today to support him. Now, if he's found guilty, Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison, but
now I got to ask you guys, Hunter Biden's argument is that, okay, I was an alcoholic, but I wasn't using drugs. I wasn't using cocaine. like Dave Chappelle says, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Well, apparently, according to Hunter Biden, cocaine is not what he was using. He wasn't using at the time. Basically, he was just drinking alcohol, or I don't know if he falls into the alcoholic category, but that was his defense. So what do you guys think? Are you buying it, or is this just complete bull? Prosecutors, they're arguing that basically he was in fact struggling with a crack cocaine addiction at the time of the purchase. So that's the other side of the argument. But ultimately, here's the final arguments from both sides. So Prosecutor Leo Wise, he argued that Hunter Biden knew he used crack around the time that he bought the gun. This is the prosecution side. This is what they're saying, right? Wise emphasized that the evidence presented during the trial was crucial to demonstrating that the defendant knew that he used crack and was addicted to crack at the time of the relevant period. Now, my question for you guys is, does that make Hunter Biden a crackhead? Serious question. Anyway, so Wise, he clarified that the prosecution did not need to prove that Hunter Biden used drugs on a specific day to make their case. Now, one of the key elements to the prosecution, they needed to prove that Hunter Biden was aware of his addiction at the time of the gun purchase. Now, Wise, he argued that maybe if he'd never gone to rehab, he could argue that he didn't know that he was an addict. Now, this statement kind of underscores the importance of proving Biden's awareness of his addiction. Now, Wise, he also highlighted that Hunter Biden had communicated with drug dealers around the time that he bought the gun and described him as a habitual user of illegal drugs. So there's that. Not a good thing to be calling drug dealers during a time when you're allegedly not using drugs. But he summarized testimonies from three of Hunter Biden's former partners to testify about his extensive drug use over several years. Now, regarding the third count, which is unlawful possession of a firearm by a user of a controlled substance, Wise stated that there was no evidence that anyone other than Hunter Biden possessed the gun. So basically, in a nutshell, Leo Wise's argument focused on proving that Hunter Biden was aware of his, crack cocaine addiction when he purchased the gun, and he habitually used illegal drugs as supported by the testimonies and evidence presented during the trial. Now, of course, Hunter Biden's defense attorneys representing him, Abbe Lowell, argued that the bar for prosecutors to prove that Hunter Biden knowingly violated the law was extremely high. In fact, Lowell emphasized that when Hunter Biden marked on the federal form that he wasn't an addict, he was not stating that he was not stating what he believed to be false. In other words, he wasn't lying, according to his defense attorney. Lowell pointed out that the question on the form about drug use and addiction was phrased in the present tense, and the gun seller who testified did not think Hunter Biden was on drugs when he bought the gun. Now, Lowell, he further argued that the government had not adequately proved beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt that Hunter Biden was actively using drugs at the time of the gun purchase. He stated that no one had witnessed actual drug use in the month that Hunter Biden bought the firearm, adding that the prosecution's case was based on suspicion and conjecture only. Now, Lowell, he highlighted that Haley Biden, Hunter Biden's sister-in-law turned girlfriend, how does that work? Sister-in-law turned girlfriend. Hold on a second. If she's his sister-in-law, that would mean that she was dating someone else or was married to someone else in his family, and then they hooked up. Is that what happened? I don't know the history of that relationship. But anyway, Hunter Biden's sister-in-law turned girlfriend couldn't recall details around the time that she found the gun. He also mentioned that Hunter Biden's ex-girlfriend, Zoe Keston, had met with the prosecutors before the trial. Now, Lowell suggested that the pouch with the cocaine residue found with the gun could have originated from Haley Biden. That's a mess. That's a mess. 25 years here, folks. Addressing Hunter Biden's state of mind, Lowell pointed out that after Hunter Biden learned that Haley Biden had tossed the gun in a trash can at a grocery store, he told her to call the police. Now, Lowell argued that a person who's using drugs cannot operate and is a danger to public safety, as the prosecutors claimed, would not have advised Haley Biden to file a police report. Now, Lowell reminded the courts that if convicted on all counts, Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison and fines of up to $750,000, according to the court filings. Now, I got to take a pause here and reflect back on what happened with Donald Trump's case just a couple weeks ago. Remember, Judge Juan Merchan, he did something very unorthodox with Donald Trump's case. Well, he did a lot of unorthodox things, but one of the things he did was typically you allow the defense to issue their closing arguments at the end. In other words, the prosecution, or DA Alvin Bragg, would issue his closing arguments to the jury, to the court, and then the final closing arguments would come from the defense attorney for Donald Trump. The leverage, the benefit is that the defense attorney and their closing argument would have more of a lasting effect because it would be the last thing that the jury hears before making their decision. Judge Juan Merchan didn't do that. He swapped the order around and said, hey, defense attorney, issue your closing arguments first. Let the prosecution issue their final closing arguments last. The judge took away Donald Trump's rights, basically, and compromised the traditional format of the court. So a lot of people argue that, like, hey, this is a setup. This is corruption here. The other thing is that Donald Trump's attorney, when he was making his closing arguments, he mentioned to the jury that their decision in terms of whether Donald Trump is found guilty or not would have an impact on Donald Trump's, basically, their decision could send Donald Trump to jail. He mentioned the punishments, the fines that would be associated with Donald Trump's conviction to the jury, and Judge Juan Merchan, he pretty much lost it. He was like, you are not allowed to remind the jury of the consequences of, what the defendant could face as a result of the decision that they make. In other words, the judge was mad at Donald Trump's attorney for almost kind of like leveraging the human side of the jury by making them really feel like, hey, your decision could send this man away for a long time. But here's the thing. Hunter Biden's attorney is doing the exact same thing here, and nobody's saying anything, and no one's talking about this. So I'm just saying, guys, you want to talk about corruption, the playing field isn't level. That's all I'm saying. Whether you like Trump or not, it's not about that. Whether you like Hunter Biden or not, it's not about that. It's about looking at these two cases, looking at these two trials, and seeing that there is a clear discrepancy in how the parties are being treated. In both cases, Trump and Hunter Biden, they're both defendants. But you can see a clear difference in how each of the defendants and their defense attorneys are being treated. I'm just saying, nobody's really talking about that. And this needs to be highlighted. So share the message, share this video, get the message out, get the word out, because if you guys think that there is corruption going on, we have to speak on this. Anyway, he noted that the defendants rarely receive the maximum penalty, especially in cases involving nonviolent crimes and alleged first-time offenders and whatnot. Hunter Biden's punishment will ultimately solely be up to the judge. So what do you guys think? You think Hunter Biden's going to be sitting behind bars for the next 25 years, or do you think they're just going to hit him with a slap on the wrist and send him off scot-free? Fed Up Patriot, what's good, my brother? Fed Up Patriot says, Ron, I've been getting notifications after your lives. Today, I actually got one when you went live. YouTube. I don't know what's up with YouTube. I hope they show me some love and my community some love and actually send the notifications out when I go live, because I do want you guys to be here. Cowboy Rod, what's good, brother? Thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Ron, please quit referring to Trump's cases. Push money, I think you mean hush money case, because it wasn't hush money. It was an NDA case. I feel you, but everybody knows it as a hush money case, hush money trial. But I feel you. It was more of a non-disclosure agreement, more or less. It really wasn't even. It was not even so much of a non-disclosure agreement case, really, in my opinion. I think it was more of a bookkeeping labeling issue. Like it's such a dumb case, and this is why the DOJ and the previous district attorney for Manhattan and all these other large federal bodies passed up on prosecuting or attempting to prosecute Donald Trump, because they knew that there was nothing. But DA Alvin Bragg, he was like, well, I'm going to go after this guy anyway. I don't know. Maybe George Soros called him up on his cell phone and said, hey, we need you to take care of this guy. We need you to get Trump. I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, who knows? But Sunday, Donald Trump, he called for President Joe Biden to remove an attack ad that features quotes attributed to Trump mocking dead soldiers. So this demand, it coincided with Biden's visit to the Asian Marine American Cemetery in France, where he honored federal fallen troops. Now, this is the same cemetery that Donald Trump chose not to visit in 2018, which led to reports that he described the site as filled with losers. Is that so? Donald Trump has denied making these remarks, as well as another alleged comment where he called over 1,800 Marine suckers for being killed ever since the Atlantic first reported his purported words in 2020. Now, Trump denies all of these allegations. Trump's denials persisted on Sunday, starting at the beginning of a rally that took place in Las Vegas, Nevada. Addressing Biden, Donald Trump said, quote, he said, I stood over graves of soldiers and said, these people are suckers and losers, the dead soldiers from World War I, end quote. Donald Trump claimed that the entire episode was made up and accused the Biden campaign of using a phony story in their ad describing them as sick people. Now, I got to be honest with you guys, and I got to ask you guys this question right now. Do you think that there's any chance in the world that Donald Trump would have said something like that, like such a disrespectful, insensitive statement about the fallen soldiers, the dead soldiers from World War I, while standing over their graves? Like, I'm thinking, like, even if you hate Donald Trump to his core, right? That would make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're like a diehard Obama fan, you're a diehard Joe Biden fan, right? You have to just like use a little bit of just common sense and just say to yourself, first of all these political ads are all manipulated. Do you really think Donald Trump would have said something so disrespectful as that? You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like that would fly for almost anyone, whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or you hate him or love him. It just doesn't make sense, you know? So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't even make sense for Joe Biden to say something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see either of these presidential candidates saying any kind of ridiculous, disrespectful nonsense like that, especially standing over their graves. That would be I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. Anyway, so Trump appeared to be referencing an attack ad that was launched by the Biden campaign on Friday during Biden's visit to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. But the ad included the alleged suckers and losers quote and audio of Donald Trump mocking the late Senator John McCain as being considered a war hero only because he was captured during the Vietnam War, with Donald Trump adding, quote, "I like people that weren't captured," end quote. I'm just saying, I don't know. Not my words, guys. Don't kill me. But the Biden campaign's official account on X, formerly Twitter, shared the clip basically stating, quote, "Donald Trump doesn't know a damn thing about service to his country." Interesting. Now, this statement came from Biden's official campaign account on Twitter. So they're saying Donald Trump doesn't know anything about service to his country. What do you guys think about that? Thoughts, comments? So at the Las Vegas rally, Donald Trump accused his political opponents of fabricating stories to get elected, referring to the suckers and losers comments. Donald Trump said, quote, "Useless. You're a psycho or a crazy person or a very stupid person. Who would say that anyway?" End quote. So he also criticized those advising him to avoid mentioning the allegation, stating, quote, "It never goes away. I got to mention it. I don't like mentioning it, but for me to say suckers and losers about people that died in World War I in front of military people, it's not a possibility you could say a thing like that," end quote. And I wasn't there, but I just can't see anybody saying something that stupid. I don't care if they're a presidential candidate or not. I just don't see anybody in their right mind, unless they're like a psychopath or, you know, mentally handicapped or something like that, to say something so wild and insensitive and it's just a horrendous statement. I just don't see that actually being said by Trump. Anyway, so Trump continued to express his anger in a couple more posts on Truth Social on Sunday. He dismissed the losers and suckers claim as another Democrat disinformation hit job, and basically stated that only a sicko with an axe to grind would suggest that anybody would make such a statement. I mean, me personally, I'm like, all right, if you're going to lie on the other candidate, at least make the lie believable. You know, I don't know who's behind Joe Biden's campaign, but that was not a smart move, in my opinion. He criticized the use of the alleged quotes in an advertisement, calling it a sign of desperation, and asserted that no president, especially dumb as a rock Joe Biden, has done more for our military than Donald J. Trump. The military hates Crooked Joe and all of the failure he represents. Take down the fake ad, Joe, and stop the unprecedented weaponization of justice against your political opponent, end quote. And in another post from Donald Trump, reiterated that he never said that dead soldiers are losers and suckers. He urged people to remember that the statement comes from the fascist scum that is destroying our country whenever they see it used. Yeah. Now, left-wing media is taking shots at Donald Trump just 3 days, only 3 days after nearly a dozen people were treated for heat-related symptoms at a town hall where he held in Arizona, where the heat basically shattered all sorts of records. Donald Trump humorously complained to a Las Vegas crowd at another scorching rally about how nobody worries about him. Now, Donald Trump, he was just joking when he said this, but he said, quote, "They never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog." And then he went on to say, quote, "The Secret Service said we have to make sure everyone is safe. I said, what about me? We never thought of that." They don't think about me. I'm working my ass off. I'm working hard, end quote. So that's what Donald Trump was saying jokingly. But anyway, on that Sunday, temperatures in Las Vegas, they were around like 100 degrees. And during the rally, at least one person collapsed due to the heat situation, prompting nearby attendees to call for medical help. A Secret Service agent quickly rushed over to assist, and reported by the local news authorities earlier in the rally, Donald Trump, wearing a sports jacket and his signature red MAGA hat, remarked, quote, "It's 110 degrees, but it doesn't feel like it to me," end quote. I don't know. I ain't trying to wear no full suit in 110 degrees, but maybe he had some fans or something blowing on him to kind of like keep him cool. But 110 degrees in a suit, that's impressive. That is impressive. I saw somebody said something about Bakari Akil Bey says Jim Crow Joe is his name. In Arizona, the medical incidents led to hospitalization of 11 people who had waited in the sun for hours to hear Donald Trump speak. I mean, that's the thing. Like some of these rallies, I mean, you don't know how long you're going to be out there, how long you might have to wait. You got to come prepared, lots of hydration, lots of hopefully umbrellas to kind of shield yourself from the heat, especially if you're in like Las Vegas or Arizona. Hats, hydration. And of course, if you got like a health condition, you got to be extra careful. Anyway, local fire officials described their treatment as precautionary. In response to this, Donald Trump's campaign took extra measures to prepare the Las Vegas rally. They hired additional medics, probably not the same medics that they sent to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago house during that FBI raid to pick up those classified documents. These are probably some different medics. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But seriously, they hired additional medics, provided thousands of water bottles, set up misting fans and cooling stations around the venue. So it looks like they did what they could to try to make people comfortable, given it, it was an outdoor event in, 110 degree weather. So, but anyway, Donald Trump, he encouraged anyone in the crowd that was feeling the effects of the heat to seek help, saying, "If anybody gets tired, you let me know. And if anybody goes down, if you start going down, we have people, they'll pick you right up, and they'll throw water," end quote. Now, this kind of reminds me of the rally that Donald Trump held in the Bronx, New York, where a surprising number of people turned out and supported him. And there was a woman in the crowd. I don't know if you guys remember that. There's a woman in the crowd, T Savano or T Savo. What's going on? Finally made it to the live. I'm glad you made it. There was a Bronx rally in New York where Donald Trump was holding his rally, and he literally stopped suddenly because apparently there was a woman in the crowd who was like either about to faint or passed out or passing out. Anyway, he stopped for 5 or 6 minutes and called for a doctor in the crowd to help her out and made sure she was okay. But yeah, these kind of things happen, especially these super hot, high temperature days. Some folks say, it's the climate change, it's the global warming crisis that's making the temperature so much hotter. Maybe it's the HARP system that the government's using to manipulate the weather. I don't know what is causing the weather to be so hot, but it is what it is, and we got to be ready. Nvidia sparked some chatter over possible Dow Jones inclusion after the stock split. Now, Nvidia is a major player in the artificial intelligence AI industry, and they recently carried out a 10-for-1 stock split. So what this means is that for every one share an investor owned, they now have 10 shares. Now, the goal of this move is to attract more retail investors, everyday people like me and you who buy and sell stocks, by lowering the share price or the price per share, right? So what this does is it makes the shares more affordable for both employees and for investors. Now, the stock split has caused a lot of buzz. A lot of people are talking right now, speculating that Nvidia might join the prestigious Dow Jones Industrial Average, which basically is a stock market index that includes 30 very significant publicly traded companies in the United States. We've all heard of these companies that are in here anyway, but the reasoning is that the lower per share price might actually make Nvidia a better fit for the Dow. And if this happens, Nvidia could potentially kick Intel, another chip company that currently has the smallest influence or weighting on the Dow. It could basically remove Intel and replace it with Nvidia. So this would be a huge move. Now, Monday, Nvidia's stock price dipped a little bit by 0.2%, but this is a small drop, and it came after a very significant climb of almost 27% since Nvidia announced the stock split and a very strong financial forecast last month. So this impressive performance, it just kind of highlights Nvidia's dominance in the AI chip market. No, for those of you guys who are asking, this is not a sponsored video, but I did find that this was pretty notable, and a lot of people have been talking about Nvidia, and I thought it was worth mentioning. But last week, Nvidia achieved a market value of $3 trillion, passing Apple to become the second most valuable company globally, just behind Microsoft. And I know how much of a fan you guys are of Bill Gates. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, $3 trillion company. I didn't even realize Nvidia was so valuable, so expensive. So they came out of nowhere. I guess we can thank AI and all the demand for like all these different these companies and people mining for Bitcoin and doing all this AI stuff and cryptocurrency trading. And anyway, so Goldman Sachs strategists, Goldman Sachs strategist was actually led by David Kostin. Have shared a little bit of insights on the Nvidia stock splits. And they noted that the most recent stock splits haven't really led to a big increase in trading activity among retail investors. However, there have actually been some exceptions. So if we look at Amazon's stock split in 2022, if you look at Nvidia's previous stock split in 2021, they actually did see significant increases in trading activity. So big moves for Nvidia, big moves for Hunter Biden. This dude might face 25 years in prison for his his gun charges. You got Donald Trump out here, who had a massive viral probation interview today regarding his charges from the I don't want to say hush money trial, but this is what everybody knows it as, the hush money trial, the NDA trial, whatever you want to call it, against DA Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. But what was the most interesting thing that we talked about today, guys? What do y'all think? Let me know what y'all thought in the comment section down below. Catalia, what's going on, girly? Thanks so much for all of your help in the comments. John Gardner is cracking everyone up in the comments. Oh my goodness. But yeah, guys, this is America. This is America. What do you think is going to happen in 2024? I should say November 2024. Are we going to see more of Joe Biden's policies going into, 2024 through 2028? Or is Trump going to take over and make some changes? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. We got Melissa Fountain. What's going on? Keith Olson, Keenan Ripon, Jackie Shetter, Lisa B. Free. Of course, Fed Up Patriots in the house. And again, I want to thank y'all so much for hitting the like button. You guys have been expressing how much you appreciate the updates. I do my best, and I'm just glad that you guys appreciate what I share with you. Again, thanks so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and the members supporting the channel is literally blowing up. So I just literally sincerely want to just thank you guys for, hitting the join button, for tuning in every day. And yeah, you guys are just literally absolutely amazing. And I just wanted to take a second and thank you guys so much for everything. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all have a great one.